everybody. This is William del Pilar, and welcome to another episode of Fired Up Hot Takes, where we take a look around the nation and at times around the world to bring you what is happening. And let's welcome here my crew here of Jee Manghani, Big John. You guys are regulars, I guess. I had you on last week. Either that or I don't have many friends. Take your pick. That's
or
it.
both.
There you go. Let's get right into it, my friends. With hot take number one, is it time for term limits for congressional representatives and senators, considering Mitch McConnell, my invitation, and then the other congressional woman who was found in a retirement home with dementia, hadn't voted since July, and then another Democrat went through his own Mitch McConnell moment this past week. Gee.
It's been time for a long time to get rid of the weekend at Bernie's representatives that are in Congress and don't even know what they're voting on. Yes.
Big John.
I'm split on it because I think there should, if someone's doing a good job for the people, why shouldn't they be back if we live in a supposed democracy? So I understand the sentiment behind it, but I guess my answer is no.
Okay, I will push back on that with my one quick take. Power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely. There's a reason we put term limits on a presidency. Theoretically, on paper, in the perfect world, I would agree with Big John. But the truth of the matter is we're watching corruption in action right now with the Pelosi's, with the McConnells, to put it on both sides. Anybody want a final comment before we move on?
Well, I said yes, but then I do know that, okay, Pelosi gets termed out. She'll just get one of her handpicked people to run and do whatever she can to get those people in. So the corruption will keep coming. At least it will be with someone new.
Maybe. And that's not always a guarantee, but I can't argue. All right. Hot take number two. Minnesota Senator Tina Smith to retire. Tim Walz, former vice presidential candidate, and everybody's favorite Somalian, Ilhan Omar, who is a congressional representative, are contemplating a run for that Senate seat. Do either one of them have a shot? Big John.
Yeah, they have a shot. Sure, why not?
Well, actually, what I'm trying to get at is, do you think either one of them could get elected?
Sure, of course. Both of them can get elected. They're currently elected, so why wouldn't they be able to get elected? Sure.
Gee.
I would say out of the two, Tim Walz will get elected just because he has a name recognition. And there are enough people out there who just vote on, I don't know this other guy, but I know this person. He was on the Harris Walls or Harry Balls campaign sign. I'm voting for that guy.
I agree with both of you. I align with on the Walls, not the Ilhan Omar, just because of name recognition, and she's actually hugely unpopular. Right now, Tim Walz has a favorable of 48%. Ilhan Omar for 2022, it's hard to get data on that, has a favorable of 27%. So yes, I believe Tim Walz is going to win that seat. I don't think Omar, but you never say never. You never say never. Look at Kamala. Question three, is it time for Republicans to stop crossing over and voting for extremely progressive and socialist appointments by Democrat presidents? Gee.
It's time. I mean, you've worded it so specifically. I say yes to that. But should we vote along party lines? No, we should vote for good people. But if they are socialists or extremely progressive, no, absolutely, we should not. We should stop crossing over to vote for them.
Big John.
Well, they're doing it now, right? They voted for Gabbard, they voted for RFK, and they voted for Donald Trump. All three Democrats, former Democrats. So you're doing it, whether you realize it or not. So go ahead and do it anyway. Keep doing it.
I used to believe that 30 years ago, I would have given my vote to whoever Clinton would have put up, Obama, all those people. Why? Because it was a formality. You just didn't want a nut job, and they won the election. So it was one of those polite things that became part of the process in the Senate. But over the last 30 years, Democrats have really stuck together, voted no on most, if not all, Democrats. Well, not 30 years, the last 20 years, if not voted no, if not on all Republicans mostly. And Republicans have always crossed the aisle. And I'm like, enough of that. We're in a war. You teach them, you do it that way, we'll do it that same way. Eventually, sounder minds theoretically will come aboard and go, hey, we got to stop this and let some of these through. But that said, Trump's people are getting through, shockingly, even though it is party line. All right. Number 4, is there any reason that is legitimate to fund Planned Parenthood? And this question comes about because Planned Parenthood cleared their Instagram account because they know funding issues are going to come up. Let me preface this with they received approximately $1.78 billion between 2019 and 2021. Big John.
No, they shouldn't get funded, but not because it's Planned Parenthood. It's just because the government shouldn't be funding any of that. So I'm for the elimination of every non-essential government function and department that doesn't fall into the 4 or 5 categories that, say, Milton Friedman laid out, or that most minarchists will lay out for you: defense, law, justice, things like that. So yes, but not because it's Planned Parenthood. I'm just against any department. So just want to make that clear. In other words, I have nothing against Planned Parenthood as an organization per se getting money if we're giving money away. But if the point is to shrink government, then you got to start making these choices and eventually, put them on the chopping block.
Gee.
Yeah, for them to receive money directly to operate, I'm against that. If they receive money from, let's say, Medicaid, CHIP, or whatever for providing services, that's legitimate because there's a patient paying for that by way of a government program. But receiving operational funds directly, no, I don't believe that should continue.
This is where the conservatarian. I'm like with John, no organization, but it's not like that in real life. But I think, gee, that's where I agree with you in terms of how it's doled out should be how it's doled out. But 1.7 billion, and they've been caught on camera stating how they look at babies. They look at babies as just parts for money. You know, that's kind of disgusting. And but I'm with John on his belief in that sense. Okay, should the government raid religious institutes as religious groups sue over church arrest policy? And what I mean is going into synagogues, mosques, churches, etc. Should they be able to do that? Gee.
I mean, we had this conversation as I'm part of a school board, and between me and the superintendent, we just said, look, they can do it anywhere else but our school. I mean, now I'm talking about little kids, right? So we don't need to scare little kids and have ICE on our campus. So we would push back against that. Nobody's come to us. Churches, I mean, can't they do it at the home? I would say no. That we shouldn't be raiding churches. I mean, there's nothing sacred about them in terms of the First Amendment and ICE raids, but come on, there's just a better place to do it than to disrupt someone's worship service.
Actually, gee, technically there's the Religious Freedom Restoration Act that provides legal grounds to argue that ICE raids in churches infringe on their free exercise of religion. But technically, that's what would be under dispute. Big
Right.
John.
No, of course not. They shouldn't go into schools. They shouldn't go into churches. They shouldn't go anywhere. We shouldn't be deporting mass amounts of illegal immigrants in this country to begin with. So unless they've been adjudicated to have committed a crime, and no, being in this country illegally is nothing more than a misdemeanor at worst without further adjudication. So you can't use the argument that they're here illegally, so you can. That itself, it's not a crime. It's a civil offense, misdemeanor at most. So unless you're planning on deporting people for jaywalking, it's a ridiculous stance. So no to the schools, no to the churches, no to the street corner, no to their homes, no to their place of employment, no to everywhere.
Did you hear that sound? It was the sound of a million computer screens breaking.
It is what it is, and
listen, look at it as you want, but it's a crime. But
it's not a crime.
That's it. Yes, it is.
It's not a crime. It's not a crime. It's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor.
The moment they cross. Anyway,
it's a misdemeanor.
Yes, they should. History has shown bad people uses churches as refuge just to hide in over the law. You can use common sense when you do it, but enough is enough. There's been a lot of documentation of bad things happening, and what makes a church special? The kids I can see Do it smartly, but there's times you may have to go in there, and that's how life works. Again, my thought process comes from seeing two dictators and the abuse. So it's a fine line to tread. But on the flip side, you see the church constantly abusing the rights and the gifts we want to give them. All right, number 6.
Hold 1 second. Can I get one last word on this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You've changed my mind. With what you just said, that bad people will do bad things. I agree with you, because I saw on Fox and Friends today where Tom Homan basically blackmailed Eric Adams and said, we will not prosecute you if you go along with our ICE raids. If you get in the way of the ICE raids, we're going to put all those federal prosecutors back on your case, Mr. We know you're corrupt anyway. So we already see the politicization of this with the immigrants. Like, it is merely a political ploy. All right. We just saw it. We saw it on Fox News.
They call it a plea deal. You know?
No, it's a quid.
That's how it works.
It's a quid pro quo, right?
Yeah. What do you think a plea deal is? Quid pro quo. You testify against this guy, we'll reduce you by 5 years. Quid pro quo.
Yeah, but this isn't that. They're saying we will not prosecute the most corrupt mayor in America at all if he just gets out of our way. Homan was on Fox and Friends, William, today.
There have been more corrupt mayors over the history of this country.
I'm saying the most corrupt mayor in the U.S. right now, probably. If he's not the top, he's in the top 3. All right, I live with the guy. Okay, he's a corrupt.
I'm laughing, John, because you're trying to make an absolute fact out of an opinion, and then you change it to he's probably the top 3. You know?
No. But here's my point. Today, the Trump administration pulled 7 U.S. attorneys off the Adams.
John, I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to keep moving.
Okay, just saying. You convinced me. You convinced me.
That doesn't, and you're right. Eric Adams is not a good dude. Not a good dude at all. The federal government is suing New York over the green light law. Is this an excuse to target illegal aliens to prevent them from being auto-registered to vote? And for New York to keep information from ICE, because under the rules, they don't give that information whoever's been registered. I preface this with the fact that this same thing is being done in California, and there has been more than one incident where they're auto-registering illegals purposely. So, Big John.
Oh, look, my position on the deportation. So any form of civil disobedience, I think it's fine. This is one of those equivalents of jury nullifications as far as I'm concerned. If do not comply, do not help, do not in any way aid ICE in this really inhumane treatment of other human beings. So yeah, resist at all points.
Gee.
I think when there's a law that's at a local level, you got to fight it with litigation. And I think the federal government has a duty to protect and strengthen our borders, and this is a way to tie up New York City's, or is it the whole state? I believe it's the whole state, to tie them up in this litigation, so they will stop what they're doing, and we can get these people deported and go back to their country of origin.
My issue goes to voter fraud, because that's what California used it for, because of mail-in ballot. All of a sudden, these illegals started showing up names on the ballots, so that's how I see it. But they're using it. They're doing it the right way. They're doing it legally by suing, which is what Democrats do. So it works both ways. Number 7, protecting the climate. President Trump protecting the climate. He says yes to plastic straws. But is this a retaliatory strike at Democrats and Gavin Newsom, or is there actual danger with paper straws? Gee.
So I go to Panera and I get my plastic cup and I put my plastic lid and I put a paper straw in it. Yes, it's absolutely a retaliatory strike over this insane law that says that plastic straws are a problem, but everything else plastic is just fine. It's ridiculous.
Big John.
Yeah, it's 360-degree nonsense. The ban itself was nonsense to begin with. Trump then acting like rescinding bringing back plastic straws is the equivalent of the 1776 revolution is also going too much in the other direction either, right? So it's just partisan nonsense made to occupy people's brains with crap instead of focusing on real issues. So yeah, it should have never been a ban to begin with, you know?
So well, it should have been a ban. But in my head, John, as you said 1776, I'm thinking a box of straws being thrown into the harbor.
I will say one thing though, when those paper straws first came out, I didn't realize that how quickly in New York they had, like, I mean, overnight they got rid of all the plastic straws. Right. And I remember I had stopped by a McDonald's, not to eat anything from there because I want to live, right? But all I wanted was a Diet Coke, you know. So I got in, I got the Diet Coke at the drive-thru, and I was heading off somewhere. I was by myself in the car, and they had replaced the plastic straw with a paper straw. I didn't even realize it. Well, you know, those things over an hour drive will get to be real soggy. So at one point, I didn't even realize it. I picked it up, and I just did my usual, you know, to inhale the whole thing. I almost choked to death driving because that thing went in my mouth and collapsed. Like as I was sucking it in, it collapsed. I almost choked on it. I had to pull over on the shoulder of the highway and just, like, you know, Heimlich myself to get that out. It almost killed me. So yeah, I'm glad plastic straws are back.
So
I just have one thing to say.
Dangerous items.
I just have one thing to say. You get a straw and you get a straw.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's a great image, you know, plastic straws thrown in the harbor. Yes, it was retaliatory, but using the Democrats' own ammunition against them. It turns out there are harmful chemicals like PFAs that explode when used or other crap like it. So technically, he was in the right, but yes, it was a smack. And there's nobody who is arguing with him striking that down, because as John said, after an hour, you're literally eating a soggy straw, you know? Okay, will Doge reach their goal of reducing the federal workforce by 75%? Now, that said, they've reduced it by 3.26%, and they just started. Little context, 2.3 million federal government jobs. They've gotten rid of about 75%. So 3.3%, and that's a long way. Big John.
Well, first of all, we have to be careful, right? I'm not sure that those jobs are gotten rid of. I think Doge has identified those jobs to be eliminated. No,
it's 75,000 have already accepted the Trump buyout. So they're
okay. So fair enough. So they bought a buyout, which isn't quite eliminating, right? It's a buyout. Will they reach their goal? Absolutely not. First of all, Elon's going to get bored in a month and leave Doge. You know, that's the first thing. He's not around for the long haul. Second, Trump is a populist. So as soon as he sees that people are like, as soon as it starts to click with people what government downsizing actually means, and he starts getting complaints and Trump sucks and what's going on with Trump, and then he sees the polling that says they're going to lose seats in the midterm elections, like he'll give it up. It'll fade away, just like, you know, not to bring up COVID again, but, you know, Trump led the COVID regime. No matter how you want to frame it, he led it. And people forget about it because he's a populist. Once people said, we're scared, give us these vaccines at lightning warp speed, guess what Trump did? I'm doing it. I'm going to get it to you. That's what part of being a populist is. So to answer your question, no, I doubt Doge will be around by the end of the year. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. But if you gave me good enough odds, William, like 3-1, I'll put money that Doge won't be around by the end of the year.
Gee.
So the question is 75%. I'll be excited if they reach 7.5%.
Yep.
So
yeah, you're right, G. You're right. I'll agree with that.
I'll push back because John is right. Trump, even like a year ago, still wanted credit for his ego about Operation Warp Drive. But in his defense, he was listening to all the people around him and said the vaccine, and every scientist from Fauci who supported that crap said, you take the vaccine and you won't get COVID, you know? So there's a lot of innuendo with that one. But yes, they will not reach 75%, but not because Elon will get bored. It's because I just don't think they can hit that number. I'd love it. That's orgasmic to me. Woo! You know, but they're not going to hit it. The Gulf of America controversy. Okay, we're not lawyers, so let me tweak this up a bit. Do you think that Mexico's threatening to sue Google, Apple, and others because they're changing it to the Gulf of America? Do you actually see that going through and Mexico actually suing Jee?
I think Mexican President Claudia is trying to be like Trump. Like, let me just throw out a lawsuit and see where it goes. They don't have a shot. It will be laughed out of court. I mean, we can put whatever we want on our map, and they can put whatever they want on their map. Period.
Technically, they don't have. Nobody has any say 12 miles outside their land. So how do they name these bodies? I don't know. Big John.
What's interesting is Google's an international conglomerate. Obviously, they're very susceptible to regulatory oversight everywhere, especially Europe, especially Asia, especially Latin American countries, right? They're probably least regulated in the U.S. So do I think there's merit to that type of lawsuit? Probably not. But if it causes, look, Gulf of Mexico was a troll by Trump, right? It's freedom fries all over again, right? There's no reason to say we're calling it Gulf of Mexico and then signing the executive order when Air Force One on its way to the Super Bowl was over the Gulf of we're over the Gulf of Mexico? How coincidental. I'll sign this executive order, calling it.
I don't like that, but he's a genius marketer.
No. I get it. It was a great, it's a great troll. I've admitted that, okay? But the point of the matter is that it's a troll. So if Google gets any sort of sniff or hint that they're going to face regulatory hurdles over this in countries that don't find Trump funny, they'll back off. They'll do something with their geolocation that says if you're in Mexico, we'll show it as Gulf of Mexico. If you're anywhere else outside of Texas, we'll show it as Gulf of Mexico. To everybody in Texas, we'll show it as Gulf of America.
Maybe. I don't see it going anywhere, but you never say never. But the one reason why I disagree with John is we're the biggest economy and we're the biggest profit margin for them. But it could happen if they all banded together. So you never say never. But no, I don't see this lawsuit going anywhere. And I think a Team America, freedom, fries.
Well, you know what it is? Google has different, like even in the U.S., right? California has different privacy laws that give, that have, give.
I don't want to digress, Big John, but no, I agree.
Yeah.
These companies, these international companies, I feel for them in one way. They don't have anything uniform. They got to deal with these, not even countries anymore, states or provinces.
Yeah.
All right. Big John may not be familiar with this one, so if you want to sit this one out, that's fine. But if you want to chime in, that's fine too. CPAC chair. Oh, Big John's probably us three probably knew about CPAC before any of us. So, CPAC chairman Matt Schlapp accused of sexual assault. Again, is it time for conservatives to cut ties with Schlapp, CPAC chairman? And let me preface that. When I say his last name, I'm thinking of him behind the guy. Schlapp! Gee.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need to deal with this kind of allegation and controversy. And one of them just happened in this last month. So, no, we need to cut ties with this guy and find someone better.
Big John.
Well, look, I'm a big proponent of let's adjudicate any potential cases, but from the perspective of that it's bad for CPAC's image, right? Because CPAC is all about family values and conservative values. And William is right. I was going to CPAC in the mid 80s as part of the Reagan youth, so
Pat Buchanan was the title.
Actually, I got the guy that I met at very quickly at CPAC. The guy that I met and actually went out to dinner with was Lee Atwater. If you guys remember Lee Atwater,
Lee Atwater was a formidable beast, and he got Nixon elected, if I remember correctly.
No, not Nixon. He got
H.W. Bush.
He got Papa Bush elected against Dukakis.
Nixon, though, he started in that Nixon.
No. I don't think he did. I think he was one of the young Turks that came up during the 80s. Like he was the equivalent of Carville for the Republicans.
He was, but I think that he got to start like his youth was right.
Oh, maybe like an intern or something. Yeah, you're probably right. But anyway, so CPAC has that reputation. So yes. I fully understand from a business perspective if they told the guy, hey, at the very least, we're going to put you on the sidelines until you get this squared away. And if it turns out that you're innocent, it's very similar to that punter in the NFL, Ariza, right? Like all those rape accusations came out against him. He got cut immediately, right? But as soon as that case was adjudicated, he got signed like this because he was a really good punter, right? So the same thing with this guy. If he's worth the headache, put him on the sideline for a little while, have him adjudicate the case, and if it comes out that he's innocent, bring him back. If it turns out that he's anywhere near guilty or suspicious or whatever, then cut ties with him entirely.
Gee, that's Matt Ariza when the San Diego State University's got a leg given to him by God. Boom. I say throw his ass out, and here's why. 2017, this happened. 2022, this happened. And then now 2025, and it was a $500,000 settlement that cost CPAC $500,000, and they worded it carefully where the guy who was sexually assaulted said, Matt Schlapp nor CPAC paid me a dime for this money, to allude that Schlapp was innocent. In reality, it was Schlapp's insurance company that paid it off. So at this point, one time, okay, it's I don't know, second time, third time, what the hell, fourth, Matt like slapping some booty,
Wait. I didn't realize you can get molestation insurance.
Some kind of way they pay.
Is that what you just said? The guy got his insurance to cover potential molestation and sexual assault.
I believe it may be called booty insurance.
Booty insurance? Okay. I got to get me some of that.
Insurance.
Okay.
And it was some kind of way they got the insurance to pay. And the way they carefully worded, the victim worded it was to defray any type of guilt towards the Schlapp. And he's married to Meredith Schlapp, who, she's a little older and too much surgery. But at one time, she's a beautiful woman. No, I have an issue. I will admit it. All these women, it's like, you're beautiful. It's like you can tell when you had surgery when all of a sudden it's like this, and then they try to smile and then nothing moves from here or here. It's one of my pet peeves. It's like, you think nobody knows you had surgery? We all know, Anyway, bonus question, people. Is it fair or not that Taylor Swift was booed at the Super Bowl after entering the political scene this past cycle? Or was it just Eagle fans being Eagle fans? We'll start with G.
When you jump into the political arena, and I'm not talking about doing a podcast, I'm talking about using your fame and influence to try to get people to vote a certain way. I think Americans don't like that. And you also you jump into the arena and you're going to get booed. And so it's absolutely fair game that she was booed.
Big John.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of fair or unfair. Look, I would boo her just
to let you know, the Swifties and many Democrats are saying it's unfair to boo her. That's why I use the term.
Yeah, well, they're idiots, But here's the thing: I would just boo her on the basis of her music sucking. I wouldn't even care about her politics. Her music sucks to my ears, so I would boo her based on that alone.
She should know how to shake it off.
Shake it off. There you go, G.
My take is along with G's. You enter the politics, you go bleep the patriarchy, you say other things, and whoever her agent is, fire him. Your fans can't even drive to the polling booth, much less actually vote when you're 13 years old. Know your audience. And I think it was also a combination of Eagle fans. These guys threw snowballs, and we're not talking snowballs like in the movies, the ice pack snowballs at Santa Claus, and then they all cheered Michael Irvin when he's on his back with his neck all twisted out of place. So it was a combination of it all. And there you have it, my friends, our hot takes for this week. Please let us know what you think in the comments. And you can find this clip at Rumble, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Pandora under the handle Grumblings Media, as well as grumblingsmedia.com. Do not forget to like and share this clip. I am William Del Pilar for Big John and Jee Manghani for Fired Up Hot Takes. Until next week, we bid you adieu.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.